And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today I am fired up because, wow, the roommates actually managed to get no one else but Patrick Bet-David on their show. Now, to get Patrick Bet-David on their show like that, just that is just a huge thing, okay? So proud of them for that. You know, there's a lot of things that I disagree with, you know, that they talk about. However, some things they do right, and that one thing was to bring Patrick Bet-David on their show. I'm a big fan of Patrick. I've been watching Valuetainment for at least a year and a half now. Follow that show like crazy, and he's an amazing guy when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to business, when it comes to leadership, etc., etc. When it comes to understanding female nature, not so much, which is why I'm fired up outside my brain to react to this video. It's 1 hour long. How are we gonna do this? But so this is gonna be part one of 2 parts. I think maybe 3 parts if it's a really, really good video going into detail about the things that men need at this point in time. Okay, the title is amazing. Patrick Bet-David talks how to become high value. Are you kidding me? And they don't even know about the Men of High Value channel. Second of all, men in marriage. What the heck? And masculine purpose. Like, there's nothing else that relates more to our channel than what they're gonna talk about, hopefully. So let's get started.
Patrick Bet-David. Patrick, it's a privilege to be back in your presence.
It's good to be with you. First of all, congratulations to you guys. Last time I think you had 50 or 60,000 subs. You're at probably by the time this thing goes up, it's going to be over 250,000 subs. You guys are on your way to 1 million subs. You ought to be excited. This is good.
No, man. It's been a blessing, you know, because as you know, when you're doing any business, at the first couple of years, that's a trying years.
Yes.
When you're not seeing the results that society and it's telling you you're supposed to experience. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was that consistent grind, that consistent patience, and we'll talk about it more. You know it the best. COVID was a time to strike if you were a content creator, and you had a video that came out when you were talking about how everybody else was shutting down and you doubled down, and that excited me so much. And we literally followed that same path, and I love seeing your results, and we also have those similar results as well.
Very excited for you guys.
Yeah.
I love it, and I completely agree with them. COVID-19, like whatever happened this year was probably one of the best things for those business owners that took advantage of it. I was one of those, actually. 2020 was the best year of my life from a business standpoint, just so you guys know. And that has nothing to do with this channel. I mean, this channel, to be honest with you, is one of the, less things that I do. And it almost seems like a hobby, even though this is my life purpose, you know, because I'm building up my financial stability and the foundation for our family, etc. And I have more focus on that. That takes massive priority. And that has nothing to do with this channel. So 2020 is one of the best years of my life, actually, which is kind of ridiculous because everyone has had a horrible year. But I agree with them on it.
When you came, that time we spent time together, I felt genuineness, humility, hunger, curiosity, work ethic, determination, and those qualities are going to help you win.
Thank you so much, Patrick. So, man, so many things I want to talk about. Are we allowed to talk about the move?
Do whatever you want to talk about. All in.
The move is very curious to me because I didn't expect it. What was going into your mind making the move to Florida? I just saw that you were in such an amazing position in Dallas.
Yeah, and I was. Here's the thing. So I lived, for those that don't know, I lived in California for 24 years. Okay. Right? So minus the military, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina. I'm in California for 24 years. And there came a time where one day I'm in my office and this tax guy just shows up and says, "May I speak with Patrick Bet-David?" So the girls bring it back to me. I said, "Yeah, how you doing?" Says, "Well, here's my business card. I'm the local tax assessor for LA County." "Sure, no problem. You owe us some $70,000 to $80,000. I said, "What for?" I said, "I pay my state, I pay my federal, I pay everything. What is this all about? We know you're growing. Here's what you need to pay." So I called my CPA. I said, "What is this all about?" They said, "Well, you need to pay. It's hit and miss. 1 in every 50 to 100 business that they found out you're growing, they found out online you're growing, they came to you, have to pay for it." I said, "What counties in California do I not pay for?" Right? So they told me, "Well, it's going to be Glendale, Burbank because of Hollywood, Santa Monica, Victor."
To be honest with you, tax history and all the things that he's gone through at this point in time, even though I haven't heard much of this history before, is not really relevant to what we need to talk about right now. So I'm going to skip a little bit.
13 of them. So I had business right in front of it right after 134. United States of Texas. And they said for every 2 people leaving California to Texas, only 1 goes from Texas to California.
Wow.
So everyone's leaving. And to get a U-Haul from Texas to California is only $300, and to get a U-Haul from California to Texas is
So basically, putting it short, because it's obvious, you can read through the lines what happens here. Taxes in California is ridiculous. Like it's mind-blowing how horrible it is. And it's pretty much as bad as it is in Norway and many other totalitarian countries, okay? Yes, Norway is totalitarian. I'm Norwegian. I left there, okay? I have no interest in moving back ever, okay? Just so you guys understand what I'm coming from. But what he's coming from, he moved from Florida to Texas for tax purposes. Okay, I don't know why he moved to Florida right now, but let's see.
It's $3,000.
Wow.
Say that one more time. $300 to take the U-Hauls back to California, but $3,000 from California to Texas. Those were the numbers I'm giving you. It could be a few $100s in Texas because no one is leaving. So then we moved our family and our business to Texas, Dallas, which on a golf course, probably one of the best places to live in America. Entrepreneur, business owner, taxes, regulation. You got all the sports you want. Stars, hockey, you got it. Baseball, Rangers, you got it. Mavs, you got Cowboys, got the whole nine. Great restaurants, great hotels, convention, the whole nine. So then where does Florida come into this deal? So now I'm running two companies. I'm running an insurance company with 18,000 agents. Today we're growing. We have nearly 150 offices nationwide. We're, our numbers are last 5 years, no matter what, top line revenue, minimum 40% we've grown. Some years 60%, some years 50%. EBITDA has grown at a very, very fast pace. And so then media company, I'm sitting there saying, why move to Florida? So we looked at Greenwich, where I would live in Greenwich and I would go to New York, Manhattan for the media company Valuetainment. And I looked at California, Newport. I know my contacts in California, but then COVID happened. The moment COVID happened, the way Newsom and Cuomo handled those two states made me say, California, New York's out. So once those two were out, I knew I wasn't going to stay in Dallas long term. I wanted lifestyle for my kids. I want to be close to the water. So I came to Florida.
Okay, another thing about Florida, taxes are amazing in Florida, so he's not missing out on that one. Plus, I mean, Grant Cardone moved to Florida from California. A lot of business people are moving to Florida these days because the mayor of Miami is also crypto and Bitcoin friendly as well, which is pretty awesome. So actually, a lot of people are flocking to Florida right now because that's the best weather. I mean, they have a lot of hurricanes, but do you understand what I mean? Like, there's a lot of good things going to happen in Florida right now, as long as, people in general. But that's kind of what I'm getting out of it.
Perfect world. If California and Texas had a baby, it would be Florida.
Man.
So decided to come to Florida, and we're very happy. The kids are very happy. My wife's very happy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. One of the things I've admired about you, Patrick, is you're such a visionary. You're such a man, like you're talking about in the book, who's always playing chess. I don't know if you remember this or not, but the first time we met, you showed me the Wayne Gretzky card. I think that's when you may have been the first time you got it.
Wow.
But you showed.
He's like a sports cards fanatic, Patrick Bet-David, just so you guys know that. But also, again, kind of not interesting.
Showed me the Wayne Gretzky card.
Right.
And literally made when you sold that card. And then they could see that.
I'm skipping. You know why I'm skipping? It's because it's a freaking hour, okay? We don't have time for this. So we got to get to the good part.
What you're teaching in the book is not so much a message of encouragement that you've read somewhere, but practical application that you've done in your everyday life.
Yeah, so it's so funny you bring that up because when I bought the card, everybody's like, what are you doing spending this kind of money on a card? Who the hell is going to do anything? No one even follows hockey. I'm like, no one follows hockey. You don't know what hockey's all about, right? So then the two cards ended up selling at a record. One of them sold for $720,000 and the other card sold for $1.291 million. So
I'm personally not interested in cards, okay? But there are definitely people interested in cards. So there's a business, okay, to do that if people want to do that. And he's interested in that, but, we'll skip it.
1986 Fleer a year ago was selling for $40,000 right now. We don't sit there and he would just stress.
I'll try to edit this out, but I probably won't.
Strategize. Okay? What if we did this? What if the enemy did this? What's their strength? Who's the strength? Who's the best general? Who does he have? How many soldiers do they have? Which one? And then he would look at the maps and think about the quality of maps back then. Terrain, like the mountains, the water, all this stuff. You don't have the kind of map that we have today. So he's using, low quality stuff that it's just, hey, I think this is what it looks like and it's this many miles away and this many kilometers away. But he would sit there. Then he would come back out and have a meeting with his soldiers and say, hey, here's what we're going to be doing. You and your soldiers are going here. This unit, you're going here. If they attack from here is this. The strength of this army is this. The strength of the army is this. Here's what they're going to be doing. This is the seasons. Who's trained to be able to do this? You guys have been most prepared to go in the mountain terrain. You're going to go here. You guys have been most for forest. You're going to go here. You guys have been in the cold. You guys. So then he would put his plan of action and then he would go out and they would ask him and say, hey, Napoleon, whose strategy do you use the most when it comes down to war? You know what his answer was?
Napoleon Bonaparte. By the way, Napoleon Bonaparte is known to actually have practiced semen retention. But we don't know how it was, whether he was just edging or because there are stories of him masturbating and then coming out of a tent. I just read that somewhere. I don't know where it was, and maybe it's fake news or whatever it was. But I remember that he's one of the guys who practice SR. Just so you guys know, not ejaculating, okay? But anyway, just something that I wanted to put out there. But the way that he, treated women in general wasn't very, very good. They had no idea about female nature back then. They still don't know to this day. But we're gonna get there.
No one's. That's what made him. Napoleon, whose strategy do you use the most when it comes down to war? You know what his answer was? No one's. That's what made him predictable, unpredictable, right? So the enemy didn't know what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Because if you reveal you're using someone's strategy, guess what the enemy's going to do? I know exactly what your next move is going to be. Then there's that element of, I know exactly what you're going to do, so I know how to pivot myself. So in life, it's the same exact thing. And by the way, this isn't about being a billionaire. This isn't about being a millionaire. This isn't about Ferraris and Lambos and 20,000 square foot homes on the ocean. And this isn't about that. This isn't about having dinner with the presidents and all. No, this is you. There's 7.5 billion people living in the world. There's no one in the world that's more important than you, to you. What I mean by, I don't mean selfishly. I mean, my son, I'm spending time with him right now. Today was at the office and they just left right now. We're at lunch. We're having this seafood, right? I'm having some oysters and he's sitting there in the corner. From the moment he sat down, he knew what he wanted. He wanted to play the Santa Claus game. Do you know how many times he asked me, Dad, can I play the Santa Claus game? Dad, can I play the Santa Claus game? Can I play it now? I said, Dad, 1 minute, Dad, I'm on the phone. 1 minute later, Dad, it's been a minute. Can I play the game now? Can I play the game? He is so persistent. It's ridiculous how many times he asked me what he wants.
That's just kids, Patrick. All kids are like that. Or is it just you and my kids are like that? Interesting. No, all kids know what they want when they want it, especially if you tell them no. Okay? Feminine nature. Remember, if you say no to feminine nature, there's a part of them that immediately becomes attracted to that thing that you're saying no about. And they now want it. Okay? That's feminine nature. Kids. We got to understand how that works. That's exactly how it works. So if you say no to the kid, or you say wait, or you say this, immediate gratification, okay, got to have it now. They're now creatures. That's how kids operate.
His brother's slightly different. His sister's slightly different. What he likes, my middle one doesn't like. My youngest doesn't. My youngest temperament is demanding. She wants everything. You better respect what she wants. So as these guys age, I can't say, hey, why don't you go be an entrepreneur like your dad? It's not going to be the case. They're all going to be different because the most important person that matters in the equation of knowing what you want to do next is who? You.
Okay, I completely, actually don't agree with what he's saying here when it comes to kids. And I'll tell you why. I agree with the aspect of you, when the most important person in the world to you is you. I mean, that just makes sense. And I actually look at it from a selfish standpoint. Because selfishness is actually good if you use it for good. Okay? So everyone says that selfishness is horrible, blah, blah, blah. No, we're all selfish for a purpose. Okay? And that purpose is for us if we actually apply the principle of self-interest in regards to doing good to other people. What do I mean by that? It means that once you understand that the goal in life is to make as many people, happy as possible, and to create as much value as possible to as many people as possible, and for karma to work in your behalf. Okay, if I help 100 people to get rich, okay, 100 people are gonna help me to get rich. I like those odds. That's kind of nice. Okay, that's how business works. And so you can selfishly assist other people, and that's gonna benefit your life. So that's selfishness. So if I'm the most important person in the world, to me, I want me to have happiness, I gotta understand how the system of happiness works. The system of happiness means that you make other people happy, okay? And you think huge about the amount of people that you're gonna make happy, okay? And it's not just I'm gonna make my mom and dad and those siblings happy and then my girlfriend happy and blah, blah, blah. It's not just about that. If you think huge, if you're a man who understands that there's a bigger picture, I belong to the world, I belong to a society at large that has a lot of problems. My job is to take upon myself those problems, to solve the problem that I'm most apt and talented to solve. and become the best in the world at solving that problem. If I do that, I'm actually going to have everything that I want for the rest of my life. Okay? Abundance comes from service. And serving other people selfishly is going to serve you. And I like me, so I want to be served, and that's why I'm serving millions of people. Does that make sense? Second thing, what he says about kids. Well, if I tell my son to be an entrepreneur, maybe he's not going to be an entrepreneur. Bull crap, okay? The only reason why people make the decisions that they're making is because they want to be happy. So if he as a son has seen his father struggle and hate his life when it comes to business and go through this, and maybe every single time that the child asks, hey dad, can we play? And then the dad is on the phone, it's like, no, later, just, hey, can you get out of my room, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to you know, support the family and blah, blah. Every time that entrepreneurship and capitalistic thinking, etc., has gotten in the way of connection between father and son, there's going to be a disconnect between the son and what that father has to offer, okay? Whether that's, you know, become an entrepreneur, the son is going to be like, have literal trauma from the experiences that his entrepreneurial father had, okay? And very often entrepreneurial fathers become extremely rich and they tend to give their kids a lot of money. That's a huge problem. My kids, they're never going to get anything from me except for knowledge, except for the information that they desire to learn from me, okay? If they don't want to learn information or get information from me, I'm going to step aside. Do whatever you want. Go, you know? Whatever. This is actually how you get your children to become interested in what you're interested in. Of course, they're going to have their own interest because they're unique individuals, of course, blah, blah, blah. But, and also what type of business they choose. But I can tell you right now, call me 20 years, 30 years from now, my sons will be entrepreneurs. Why? Because I'm showing them the way that to think huge is the path to happiness. To become a leader is the path to happiness. To become an entrepreneur, it's not acceptable to choose another path. You can, but it's ridiculous. Because if you look at the joy and the happiness and the bliss that I have from my life, and my relationships are working, my women love me, and they edify me on a constant basis, and I use also third-party edification to edify me to my kids, okay? It's like, my kids become teenagers, they're not stop listening to me because that's what happens, and then, you know what I do? Because I'm a wise father, I basically edify someone else, like for example, his martial arts coach, or his basketball coach, or these coaches, or these guys that he looks up to, and then I tell them, hey, you know what? I've edified you massively to my son. He's a massive fan of you, etc., etc. Could you give him some pointers and also send him back to me, okay? Edify me, right? Third-party edification, man, it's amazing. And then they go to the son, and the son is like, wow, you're amazing, and thank you so much. And then that guy tells the son, hey, you know what? Your dad is actually an amazing guy. I look up to your dad, and your dad has done this and this and this and this and this and this for me. Man, he's got the answers. It's amazing that you're his son. You see what happens? That son now is like, whoa, my dad is actually, he knows, maybe he does know what he's talking about. And you know what? I've seen my dad be happy throughout his entire life, and he supported me and been there for me at all times. Maybe he's got some answers. This is why I know for a fact that my kids are going to be entrepreneurs. It's ridiculous to become anything else because they understand what the truth is. What's the truth? The thing that works in the long run, in the big scheme of things. Becoming an entrepreneur is crucial for any man ever. Okay? In my opinion, you cannot fulfill your true masculine purpose without, at some point, becoming an entrepreneur and staying an entrepreneur for the rest of your life, okay? You can start one business and stay an entrepreneur by fulfilling the role of that, you know, business for the rest of your life. Or you can start multiple businesses, it doesn't matter. But to stay in your one job for the rest of your life, That's feminine, no matter what job it is, okay? That's just simple as that. So no, I disagree with Patrick in that way, in that regard, because I know how to influence my kids, and that's what I do on a daily basis, okay?
That's all that matters. So if I sit down in quiet time and I say, let's just say I'm Bobby, Johnny, Patrick, Hafiz, whoever you are, you're sitting there saying, you know, what do I really want to do? Let me tell you, when I grew up, I remember when I was going through this and I saw foster and da-da-da-da-da. Here's what I want to do. Yesterday I interviewed a guy that's a former CIA agent. I don't know if you've seen the movie Jack Ryan. He's the real life Jack Ryan.
Wow.
Former CIA agent that was a pararescue agent that's now, his entire mission today is human trafficking. Why human trafficking? Like, why did he wake up one day wanting to do human trafficking? Foster care is where he came out of. 60% of human trafficking comes out. So look at the connection of what drove him to want to do that.
Yeah.
Make sense?
100%.
I grew up...
That makes 100% sense. Absolutely. Because it is the experience of our lives that drives us to the thing that we desire to do. Okay, so I found out my purpose approximately 7 or 8 years ago. And my purpose was to unburden women and children. That's my life purpose. It's one of the few times, you know, in the last 10 years that I've cried, okay? Maybe last 6 or 7 or 8. I kind of stopped crying during that time, actually. Hey, I've been extremely feminine throughout my life, okay? Excuse me. But during that time frame, between 7 and 8 years ago, I got my purpose. And I remember crying. I remember that's what this life is about. It's about unburdening women and children. Why? Because that is going to solve the next generation. The next generation is going to be better off if we unburden women and children. What's the next generation? Great, we're going to unburden those children. Those children will be the fathers of the future and the mothers of the future. If they're unburdened and they grow up and have great, you know, childhoods and then become adults, they're going to create the amazing next generation. And then the next generation, the next generation. Do you understand what I mean? That's the foundational core of everything that we do in society. Unburdening women and children. Okay? If we go towards a society where we're doing the opposite of that, we're screwing the next generations over. Just like they're ruining the dollar today, it's screwing the next generation over. You never want to do anything that cuts off the next generation and their opportunities. Okay? Never. You don't want to make it easy for them, but you want to create a strong foundation of emotional stability, an emotional happiness, okay, an emotional fulfilling their emotional needs. That's what I wanted to say. Let's keep going.
Extremely poor. I grew up not having anything. I'm a welfare kid. I escaped Iran to come here. So politically, why am I such a protector of capitalism and entrepreneurship? Because I've been on the other side where you can't say anything. You better be quiet. You got to walk on eggshells. But that's my story. What's yours? What's the individual's? I think very, very rarely do people take the most important time out of the life, which is your time out. And you sit there quietly and say, okay, I'm 28 years old. What have I done so far? Yeah. Not much. I'm not happy with it. I'm 42 years old. What's the next move? And then you sequence it out and you go execute.
I love that, Patrick. So let me tell you a story about what happened this year. Like I said, I think we started 2020. Started in 2020, roughly about 54,000 subscribers. And so, like I said, around February, March, everybody was shutting down. Watch your video, really inspired me. I said, no, we're tripling the content. We're gonna produce. By the time August hit, we're about 80,000, about like 79, 80,000 subscribers.
So just 6 months ago, you're at 80,000.
Yeah. So literally, all of a sudden, things just started unfolding, and we had a back catalog. Because what happened is we had a back catalog. We just lacked brand awareness. You're a business guy. You know it's product and placement. You have the greatest product, but if it's not placed in front of your audience, they won't be able to buy it. So when the audience finally saw the product, we went from literally 80,000 subscribers in beginning of August to 200,000 by November. And so what ends up happening is, we interview a lot of people. We've interviewed Candace Owens. We've interviewed Gary Vee, Ben Shapiro. We're interviewing people from all different backgrounds.
The best strategy, if you want to grow your YouTube channel, you interview big names. That's it. Really. If you interview big names, their fans are going to become your fans if you do a good job interviewing them. Right? Make sense? And that's what I don't do. Like I don't do it. When I grew the fastest was the times when I was doing collaborations and interviews. I don't do them anymore. Why don't I do it? I don't have capacity to do that. Well, wouldn't you blow up? You'd have more money and all that stuff. Blah, blah, blah. But hey, if you want to help me out and find people and write to them and tell them you should do a collaboration with Men of High Value because his stuff is insane, then do that, okay? I need tons of people who are volunteering, my information to the rest of the world because, hey, I got a wife and 3 kids and I got a lot of stuff on my hands, okay? So, but, also yeah, that's what I want to say on that. We could grow a lot faster, and I know exactly what is required in order for me to grow. But hey, I gotta prioritize like everyone else has to.
But one of the things that guys are always focusing on a lot of times is the dating videos, like the relationship stuff. The guys are fans of that. And then I got to a point where
that's not true, actually. And he's even said that in another video, that guys actually aren't interested in dating and relationship videos anymore. Okay, well, like he's come to, maybe that's what they were doing in the past, but now that they've kind of moved towards, leveling up and becoming better in every single aspect of that, suddenly, now everything has blown up. So, yeah, it's interesting that he says that.
Where a lot of those guys were then reaching out to me complaining about where they were at in life. Where they're at, why they couldn't get certain girls, why they couldn't get certain things. And I said, okay, who are you? Where is your plan? Where are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? What business plans have you put in your life? No answer. And then I said, you know what makes me mad about you guys? I interviewed one of my favorite people, Patrick Bet-David, last year. None of you guys watched it. He gave so much free information out.
I did not know that he's already done an interview with Patrick. That's amazing. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons he grew, to be honest.
Benefits you guys' life, but you're watching all the entertainment videos instead. Yeah. I kind of went on a rant literally that day, like 10,000 people watched the video, and I got so many messages from young men telling me, I found valuetainment, thank you so much, Patrick's amazing, get him back on the show, get him back on the show. So the past 5 months, I've been bothering Kai to make sure I get you back on the show.
Yeah, I gotta give you credit. Yeah. You said, Kai's like, I'm like 30 minutes. He said, no, Pat, he's saying 1 hour. Kai's like, hey, 30 minutes. Look, I'm coming in for an hour. You got your hour.
Yeah.
You stay firm.
I got it from your book. You know what I mean? You demand what you want in life and be persistent for that.
And I respect that.
Thank you so much, sir.
I respect that approach. Good for you.
Thank you so much. So eventually what happened is that I realized so many guys, like you said, did not have a plan. Mm-hmm. So many guys did not have a path. And one of the videos I always recommend is your video where you talk about how to make $1 million a year. Mm-hmm. Because you really break it down piece by piece, outsmart, out-strategize, out.
And I do recommend Valuetainment's videos. They are insane in knowledge on entrepreneurship and leadership. They blow me away, okay? So if they blow me away, there's got to be something to them, all right? Like, check out Valuetainment. Make sure you subscribe to his channel because Patrick is one of a kind, for sure, okay? Yes, kind of. He's not really one of a kind because Grant Cardone is up there with him, okay? But they're both one of a kind, so what do you know?
Working all these great things. And so I'm so excited about your book, because I think it's going to help so many young men, especially those who grew up without fathers, be able to get concise plans to become the man that they want to be. So what made you decide to write your new book? And what are some of the feedback you've been getting as you've been receiving some of the people sharing their opinions?
So your next 5 moves. So the whole thing got started with one day I woke up and I was in my mid-20s and my girlfriend sent me a message in text and she says, we're breaking up. You spend way too much time working. I love you, but long term, I don't see this thing working out because you're working 100 hours a week. It's just not going to work out.
Congratulations, Patrick. One of the best things that ever happened to you in your entire life was your girlfriend breaking up with you so you could work 100 hours a week. Yes! That's that is the recipe for success. Is not being involved with women at all for a period of time until, and you actually should hear one of his other videos where he actually talks about it, that he said, I'm not going to have sex for 17 months. Okay, he didn't say 17 months, but he said, I'm not going to have sex until until I've got $1 million. And he did that, okay? So, hat off to Patrick for actually following through on a sort of semen retention journey, which he kind of did. And that's part of the reason why he's so big today. But your girlfriend has dumped you, the best thing that ever happened to you, okay? All of my girlfriends dumping me was truly the best things that ever happened to me, okay? During that time frame, I was struggling. Okay, I was wondering why are they dumping me, and it's only me who's being dumped. Like, I'm never dumping anyone. All girls are dumping me. And then my wife suddenly wanted to dump me after 2 or 3 years in a marriage, and I was like, okay, enough is enough. I'm gonna figure this out. If I'm gonna unburden women and kids, they gotta, we men have to figure out how to have women not dump us, okay? Because that's gonna ruin their lives. Do you understand? Okay, no offense, and don't tell the girls that dumped me, okay? But literally, their lives, in my opinion, are screwed over compared to if they had married me. I'm so glad they didn't marry me because I got to be with the girl that I wanted to be with, but oh my gosh, compared to who they could have been with, it's ridiculous. Okay, so no offense to them and their future husbands and all that stuff, they probably, found the right guy for them, whatever. But Kid, you gotta see this. You understand what I'm saying here? Anyway, this is the best thing that could ever happen to you is your girlfriend dumping you.
So 6 a.m. Then I get a call from my mom. Guilt. She says, what happened to my baby boy that used to call me more and tell me, you don't call me anymore, you don't do this, you still love your mom, right? So first feeling, emotion is what? Heartbreak. Second one is guilt. Next one I get is a client of mine that says, I cancel what I just bought from you. That's a $10,000 commission. Lots of money for me at that time. Then my number one sales guy quit. So heartbreak, guilt, cost, money, I need that money. And then my number one sales guy quits, pressure. So
this is exactly what happens once you've laid out a plan and you're ready to take massive action on it and create an exponential growth curve, okay? You're going to have things, okay? Don't attract it, but just know that it's coming. There's going to be like random events happening all at the same time, just like trying to see if you're serious about these moves that you're making. You're serious about actually massively exponentially growing in your life. Things are going to come in and happen to you, okay? That's part of the process of the universe checking. Are you ready for this? Let's see. Let's give him some extra spice, issues, and problems right now just to see. And you know what? If you manage to not care about those problems and just look at them as they're just events, it's okay. I'm just going to keep on my journey. I've decided what I'm going to do. You're going to get through it, and suddenly the clouds separate and you become a ballistic missile. That's what I want for you, and this is what happened to Patrick.
I'm sitting there saying, who do I call first? What do I do first, right? Do I first call my mom and, Mom, I'm so sorry, you know I love you, and send her a gift and all that stuff, and go take her out to lunch? Well, then if I do that for the rest of my life, I'm training her to use guilt to get what she wants out of me. Is that really what I wanted? I think a lot of times we teach our kids to use guilt to get what they want out of us. We don't even know we're doing it.
That's good.
So then I say, girlfriend, okay, do I call her back and say, oh my gosh, babe, just come over. I'll do anything for you. I'll take the whole day off. I'll take the week off. Then I'm compromising my vision long-term of who I want to be. No matter how great the sex is, no matter how beautiful she is, no matter how whatever it is it me compromising? I don't know if it's worth me compromising my vision.
Do you know what he did? Okay? He didn't care. Okay? That was the job he had at that moment in time. Not care. Move on. Okay? Continue your vision. The people who want to be in your life, they will gravitate towards you and stay in your life. And that's how you need to think as well on your journey towards success.
I don't know what I'm going to do there. Do I call? So eventually I said, what does the most successful person today, if they were my age right now, 25, what would they have done right now? So then I made the decision based on that. I said, okay, let me first call the client to get intel about the sales guy, because the sales guy and I are the ones that did the client's sale. So maybe he's going to tell me more stuff about the sales guy. So I called the client says, yeah, here's why, I talked to one of your agents and he told me that there's a policy going on over here that's going to be cheaper. So I said, oh, interesting. I got into it. I said, let me ask you a question. Are you fully out? Or if I can help you out with this and get, no, Pat, I'm not fully out. I just, he confused me. I said, let me make one phone call. Then I called my agent. My agent was worried that we were about to lose the client. So he was resigning. I said, listen, it's not going to be done. Let's go meet with the client. So the first thing I did is I went and met with the client. So I saved that. I saved the agent. They stuck around. That probably ended.
Business first, okay? So he didn't care about the relationships, but he cared about the business first. So that's really the lesson here. Care about business first, okay? And then everything else will take care of itself. Actually, that's really how it works. But you do that until a certain point, because you gotta understand that business is not necessarily everything in life. But if you understand the foundation of happiness and foundation of success, true abundance in life, abundance is not having a massive business with $100 billion worth of whatever. Abundance is you being happy. Abundance is having exponential joy, bliss, and happiness. Now, it tends to be that the bigger business you have, the more you understand the principles of joy, bliss, and happiness because of the happiness advantage. Happiness actually attracts value and attracts people into your life and makes you a leader, okay? If you didn't know that. The more happy you are, the more people just funnel to you like crazy. That's how life is supposed to be. So just very simply, business first, but once you've established business, you got to understand the other aspects of life as well in order for you to have that, complete package.
Ended up making me additional $200,000 the next 2 years, which I needed at that time because I was broke. Yeah. Then I had the conversation with my girl, and I gave her the most ridiculous,
ultimatum?
It was a very weird ultimatum because I said to her, we've been together for 2 years. I love you. I know you love me too. I say we go 30 days without sex and see how we do. Because we're going to find out if we're going to be together long term, if we have anything in common, or is it just we have way too much fun together. So first time we go on Friday night. We go to the movies. We come back in the movies. I got a big expedition. We're playing the room in the back. And she looks at me, what do you want to do? I'm like, I got to drop you off. So we sit in the expedition to see what we can talk about. It's really not much to be talking about. Nothing. Like, we're just like family, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll see you. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We kind of pretty much know. We're either going to stay together because of how much fun we're having, but we know long term we're not going to be together.
Guess what? Women need sex more than men. Always. Doesn't seem like it, and I've mentioned this before, but that's because men, once they've made a decision, they can go a very long time, especially if they've got goals. If you don't have goals, a man's only goal is to have sex if he doesn't have goals. The moment he has goals, okay, women need sex more than men. So when you practice SR, you're not going to need sex. You're not even going to need women in your life. You want women in your life, okay? And you want multiple women in your life, because the more masculine you become, the more you want women in your life to be rewarded for the effort that you're putting in and becoming an amazing man, etc., etc., and, you know, confirming the power that you actually have, which you naturally will get. But women need it more than men. Don't use that information for bad purposes. If you're actually following this channel, you're a good guy, okay? We're good guys here. I'm actually giving hope to nice guys. Because, you know, they say that nice guys finish last. Well, I'll tell you what, nice guys are the only ones that are going to be able to have women in the future. In the future of a 3-in-love society, there is no bad guy that has women, ever. There will be no more players. There'll be no more strip clubs. There'll be no more prostitution. There'll be no more of the crap that women have to go through. Why? Because we're unburdening women and children. Okay, and part of that is creating a 3-in-love society where there's one man, trustworthy man, who has a strong financial foundation, who has created a stamp of approval of a huge network of other men who say that this guy, okay, this guy I trust with my daughter, okay? And that guy gets 3 women, and he's committed for life. That's the society we're going to move towards. Trust me. Because that's the only system that works. Okay, you know, there's people who join my channels, the Women of High Value channel and this channel, and they're like, oh, the 3-in-love stuff is kind of interesting, but I don't know if it's going to work. Except for the fact that it's the only thing that works. And I guess I'm kind of biased and kind of cocky when it comes to it. And then people are going to say, yeah, but you don't even live it, so you don't even know if it works. Trust me, it's going to work. Okay, come back to me. Again, 20, 30 years, you'll see it works, and it works very well. And for those guys who have it, they're going to outpace everyone. Okay? It's going to be the most powerful network in the world, the most powerful community in the world. Welcome. Make sure you subscribe and like this video, and let's keep going.
Oh, we're friends still today. Yeah. She runs a successful business. I help her out. Even my wife is friends with her.
Oh, wow.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then that left. My mom, that was never going to change. So I had to make sure she knew, Mom, I just want you to not pursue my dream. I love you. You're important to me, but at the same time, I can't. So everything about this book is, what do I need to be doing first, then second, then third, then fourth? Initially, my title was Your Next 15 Moves. But Simon & Schuster says 15 is too big of a number, start off with 5. But in the book, I explain 15 moves is what the masters do. The average chess player, when they play with you, they only know their 1 move. Here's what I'm doing next.
Yeah.
The pros know 3 to 5 moves. So the masters know 10 moves, and the grandmasters know their next 15 moves, right? So in business, it's the same thing. Most people are like, oh, what do I do? Just make phone calls. Okay, let me go sell. Versus one guy doesn't know that, well, I'm going to sell. Once I get to 100,000, I'm going to ask the guy if he lets me open up an office over here. Then I'm going to go find this customer. Then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to open up my 5th office when I'm making $500,000. Then I'm going to go and be a broker. And then I'm going to make my $1 million 5 years from now. When I'm going to buy that condo at this place.
Very important message he's saying here. And it's the one of prioritization. Prioritization is probably one of the most important skills in life. So I completely agree with him. His book is probably absolutely fantastic. I love the concept of using chess as an example, because that's really what business is. It's strategy. However, if you've read the Slight Edge book, you'll understand that your plan, the initial plan you start with, will suck. Okay? So you might create those 15 moves or those 3 moves. If you played against a chess master, and you were like, I'm going to plan out my 15 moves. And then you try and plan out 15 moves, you're going to be destroyed in 3 by the chess master, right? Does that make sense? I'm just giving you the example of, like, planning is a flippin' waste of time if you do it for more than 30 minutes a day. Like, take a weekend off and plan your life and look, this is my strategy, this is my 15 next moves, my 5 next moves, and then only do it for 30 minutes a day after that. And those 30 minutes is basically you reviewing your goals and dreams. That's it, okay? And you can do that 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening as an example. But more than that is a flippin' waste of time. And you know why I know this? Because that's what I did for years. Planning. And very often, it is the one thing that people who are fearful, who are procrastinating, who don't want to get outside their comfort zone, you know what they're comfortable doing? Sitting down with a piece of paper and planning. Waste of flippin' time. And I hope that they mention that in this video, but they're probably not going to do that. So people are going to get the wrong message and be like, planning for the next 5 years. Waste of time. The best thing that you can do is to begin now to do the 80-hour work week. That's it. Practice SR, do the 80-hour work week immediately. Well, how do I do the 80-hour? Get a job, get a second job, and get a third job, and then juggle, okay? Create consistency in that plan, and then take massive action on it. Once you have a system that's working over the next 90 days, you automatically practice SR now that you're on this grind, because you don't have time for porn, you don't have time for masturbation, you have time for women, so you're going to be practicing SR. Automatically after those 90 days, you're going to be like, I need to get out of these 3 jobs because I hate my life. Good. Fantastic. We love that. Okay? I want you to hate your life. Temporarily. Why? Because you got to go through hell to get to heaven. That's one of the principles that I teach on this channel. You're going to enjoy hell. And if you enjoy hell, you're going to enjoy heaven. Okay? Get my drift? And after those 90 days, maybe even it takes you 4 or 5 months for you to be in those jobs and get a proper routine going with the 80 hours working for someone else. That is the time that you begin to like, what business do I want to create? What do I want to do for the next 5 years, 10 years? You make a plan, okay? That's when you begin to take that weekend off, whatever, from one of the jobs to the jobs, and like, I just need this 2 days off, whatever, and you plan out your life. Okay, and then you begin, okay, this is the step I need to take next. This is the business that I'm going to build. And then I'm going to do this, and this. Okay? And then you just do 30 minutes a day after that, and that's all you need. And every single free time space that you've got. Maybe you have a security job, so at that security job, you can even spend time thinking about your goals, thinking about your dreams, thinking about your vision, thinking about your business. That's what I want you guys to do. You're filling up your life completely so there's nothing else. And that is what solves all of your problems. Because right now you care about everything and too much stuff. And that's why you're diversified. The moment Patrick basically cut his girlfriend out of his life pretty much. And he told his mom, you need to back off because I need to work. I love you, but I need to work. And then he basically focused on his business and that everything was solved. I want that for you.
Everything's about then when I, versus what do I do today? So there is an element of long-term planning and what my moves are going to be. And that's the part with sequence. And look, I'm 42 years old. You're what, and you're ready? Okay.
So I just got to respond to this because there's a lot of people who say that, oh, bro, why should I work for someone else when I maybe even you have a business? Maybe there's, okay, but if you're not practicing SR, and if you have too much time on your hands, you need to work for someone else. And if you don't work for someone else, you at least need a coach. Because a coach can get you on the right track on a daily freaking basis. If you don't have a coach and you don't work for anybody else, and it's just you, then if it's just you, you're going to be all over the place and you're not going to be working much. Trust me on this. I've seen what happens, okay? So you either need to work 80-hour work week or for someone else temporarily, okay? We're talking about 6 to 12 months here, maybe 18 months if you don't have a coach, where you have to work for someone else for a period of time to develop that consistency in your life and discipline and focus in your life and drive. And then once you actually start building your business on the side after 3 to 4 or 5 months, you're going to replace 1 or 2 of those jobs, or maybe even all 3. Still doing the 80-hour work week, which allows you now to have complete freedom for how long? for the rest of your life. And I'm not talking about freedom to not work, because you'll never, okay? If you follow the Men of High Value channel in the community, we never stop working because we love work. Okay, I love 80-hour work week. That's one of the oh man, I love it. It's so sublime. It's like, okay, 80 hours. Love it. And if you don't, you're still in your femininity. Okay, feminine desires, feminine hormones cause feminine desires. You've got feminine desires if you don't want to do the 80-hour work week. Masculine, problems. I can solve problems, and if I solve problems, I get power. I love power because I'm masculine. Get it? And if you love power, you're going to get more power, and you use that power for good, obviously. Why do you use it for good? Because long term, that's the only thing that works. It's truth. You do good, and then you get it back. You invest, you get it back. Tenfold, hundredfold, thousandfold. This is how success works.
Okay, so 30. I have a 20-20-20 rule that I follow. 4 20s. First 20, your first 20 years of growing up, don't make big mistakes. Don't make royally big mistakes. And you know which ones I'm talking about.
I know which ones you're
I'm not
talking
saying
about.
make the small ones. You're going to do them. No you don't walk on water. Just don't make them. In the car with a guy that's selling a kilo coke and you're in there and he gets arrested, you get arrested. Distribution, you go get a felony. It's just like, dude.
There's no point. If you did the 80-hour work week, none of that would happen. I have another video that I watched the other day, rewatched one of my own videos. I actually loved it. If you haven't watched it, go check it out again. It's called Get Rid of It, okay? Men of High Value channel, get rid of it, exclamation point, okay? If you can't find it in the search thing. But just go through the list, you'll find it. I think it was September last year, 6 months ago. And in that video, I actually mentioned quit school. It's one of the biggest things that I say, get rid of it. Quit school. Don't study, okay? It's one of the worst things that you can do for your future. The only exception might be becoming a doctor. If that is your absolute intense purpose and you want to become a doctor, but then if you're going to become a doctor, then focus on prevention instead of symptom treating with medication from Big Pharma, okay? That's not what kind of doctor I want to ever use in the future, okay? But if you're going to become a doctor that focuses on prevention, okay, you might be the exception to the rule. But if you are studying anything else, get rid of schooling, okay? Watch that video again. What I was going to explain is that if you do the 80-hour work week, in that video I explained that 12-year-olds should quit school. And I say that you need to quit school wisely with the permission of your parents so that you are actually homeschooling yourself for 1 to 2 hours every single day so that you actually graduate at the top of your class without going to class. Why? So that you can work the 80-hour work week from 12 years old. That's when your testosterone starts blasting. That's when your sperm production begins working. This is the perfect time to start working the 80-hour work week. It's going to be a part of your life. You're going to be a millionaire before the age of 18. Okay? If you do that, you never have time to sleep around, to get a woman pregnant, to do drugs, to get drunk, okay? To practice anything because you'll be involved, immersed into what you're doing. You'll be immersed in your business and in making money and developing your power. And everyone is going to try and get your attention, but they can't because you're so driven and focused. Where did you learn this? From your dad, okay? Right? Hopefully, if he didn't teach you, then you'll learn it from me, right? So in the same way, you guys, all of you guys are going to be fathers in the future if you do things right. And if you do things right, then you can teach your kids this way and you can homeschool them from the very get-go. At 12 years old, they start their discipline. Not at 6, not at 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. Or 11, 12, 80-hour work week. At 11, maybe they can start a 40-hour work week. Does that make sense? At 10, maybe if they want to focus on something, you can help. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Let's go. Keep going.
Dude, if you can prevent those big ones, good for you, right? Happened, try to clean it up. But hopefully first 20 years, you don't make the big mistakes. Next 20 years, find one industry, lock in, become the best, make a lot of money. Minimum 10 million. Upwards of $100 million if you can make it.
Net worth, or in regards to what do you mean by 10 million?
By 40, have a net worth of 100 million.
Okay, by 40.
By 40.
And I completely agree. Absolutely, 100% agree. This guy's laughing. He's not thinking big enough. $100 million by 40. If you actually apply the things that I'm teaching on this channel, you will get those results. It's actually physically impossible for you not to get those results if you follow the principles of this channel. Okay, including the Women of High Value channel, I might add. Why? Because they work, okay? Just like Napoleon Hill studied the lives of all of the richest people in the world, I've done that too, okay? And those principles are stripped and prioritized in such a way, and those people that have been around my channel for a while, they know that he talks about legit stuff, because I started applying the few things that he mentions in terms of priority, and I'm locked in. I'm more locked in than I'd ever been in my entire life. You're welcome, okay? SR, 80-hour work week, that's it. That's the way you start. You're gonna have $100 million in net worth, yours, after taxes, after paying off everything else, $100 million net worth at the age of 40. In my opinion, you can actually get more. You can actually get a lot more. Why? Because if you start at the age of 12, you've got literally 28 years to the age of 40. 28 years. Years! Do you know how long it takes for you to master any skill? Master, meaning becoming a world-leading performer in that specific niche or skill. It takes 10,000 hours. If you've been around my channel, you've heard that a million times. How long does it take for you to get to 10,000 hours in any skill or endeavor if you focus on it? It takes exactly 2.5 years of 80-hour work week. I figured this out, guys, okay? You just apply it and you'll figure it out yourself. You'll see that it works. How many of those 2.5-year programs can you do in 28 flippin' years? Now, do the numbers, guys. It's very simple. Okay? By the time you're 15 and a half, you've done your first 10,000 hours. Oh my gosh. You're a world elite performer in your niche if you focus. Not a lot of 12-year-olds are going to focus because they got the wrong parents. No offense. But that's basically, their parents don't know squat about success, okay? If you teach your kids the right way, they'll follow it because they'll know, wow, can I have that if I do that? Yes. Okay, let's go. Okay, 15 and a half. You're a world master in something. Amazing. What's next? 18, wait, hold on. Yeah, 18 years old. 5 years, 13, 17. No, actually you're 17, 14. 14 and a half. Can you believe? Anyway, 17 years old, you've mastered 2 things, or you've twice mastered the same thing that you focused on. So you've actually done 20,000 hours of that one skill. If you're wise, that's what you will have done. Okay? You get to have 10 of these. Actually, 11 of these by the time you're 40 years old. Do you think that you'll actually not get to $100 million? I think not, especially now with hyperinflation happening anytime soon. You get my drift? That's kind of how you need to think. So I'm not laughing like Hafiz. I know exactly what Patrick's talking about.
Have a net worth of 100 million.
I love you, Patrick.
Yeah. By 40, have a net worth of 100 million minimum, because you're gonna listen. Anything you give 15 to 20 years to as an industry, if you give it everything you got, you're gonna make that kind of money.
Yeah.
No question, no question about it. So you may say, I want to be a great podcaster. You take this thing to 10 million subs, you're killing it. All of a sudden, Spotify comes up to you, says $85 million contract we're giving you. You don't know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
There's a business model to the madness as well. Then from 40 to 60 is taking that money you made and using creative. You still can manage your businesses, but using creative on what you want to do next. You always wanted to do movies, now you can do it. You want to do music, now you can do it. You want to go buy art, now you can do it. You wanted to go out there and do real estate investments, maybe be a small owner of a sports team, now you can do it. And then 60 to 80, politics ain't giving back.
Yeah.
Very simple. So for me, it's all about the plans, 2020, 2020, and you know exactly what.
I think it's interesting how he mentions, okay, so the first 20 years, don't get into trouble. The next 20 years, make $100 million. I like that. The next 20 years, I'm like, what? Creative? What like art? What are you talking about? You just add on to those 20 years. So you do 40 years. Does that make sense? Like for me, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so you started not at 20, but you started at 12. And then you go to 60 years old, you've done what you're doing now for 48 years, and you love it. Now, could you change careers? Of course. That's the cool part about it. You can be world performer, elite performer in anything in life that you desire. You choose correctly. But I want to choose masculine things, in case I wouldn't go into arts. But, I mean, you can too. Will I go into arts? I really don't think so. But anyway, And then the last 20 years, politics and giving back. Becoming a capitalist, an entrepreneur, is giving back. You can start giving back from 12 years old. Why do you have to wait until you're 60 years old to give back? That doesn't make any sense to me, because business is giving back. You're literally giving back by investing in people, investing your time in something, investing in a skill that will serve other people. So you don't even need to think about giving back in the future. Politics? Ooh, I like that one. Very interesting. This is a political channel, just so you know, if you didn't know. I don't think you have to wait until 60. If you want to be in the political field, that should be your focus. But you need to apply these principles as taught on this channel in the political field. It might actually be worth it, though, to become a multi-millionaire first before you do it, if that's your drive, because then you've got information and experience from a lot of different diverse aspects of life if you're an entrepreneur first. But I'm not going to tell you how to become the president of the United States, although you would probably become that if you take my coaching. Seriously. I'm not kidding.
What you want to do next, if you're 30 or like by 39, I should be doing X, Y, Z. So that's why I wrote that book.
I absolutely love that, Patrick. And let me tell you something which really moved me when you wrote the book. The beginning, dedication.
We're almost done here. I'm only going to do half of the video, which is at about 34 minutes. So, yeah.
You dedicated it to your father.
Yeah.
And you said he was my Aristotle. And I think a lot of people didn't catch that. Because a lot of people are not history buffs the way you and I are. Because what happened was one of the greatest leaders of all time was Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great was the son of Philip of Macedon, who was also another one of the greatest leaders of all time. And Alexander had so much support, and he had his mentor was Aristotle as well. So when you think about your father is this powerful, dominant warlord, but then he gives you one of the wisest men to ever walk the face of the earth as a mentor, to be able to sharpen your mind as you're sharpening your body, which by age of 32, Alexander literally conquered most of the known world at that time. So I love that, because it meant to me how much your father meant to you, how much wisdom and information and advice, and how he really blossomed you as a man. But
very important principle that is mentioned here, and I'm so glad Hafiz brought that up. Hafiz got some good stuff at times, okay? He's been reading a lot of stuff too. He has no idea about female nature, but he understands success. He's read up on stuff, okay, which is good. I like what he's saying here when it comes to Aristotle, okay, and to Alexander the Great, etc., etc. Wow, that was just explaining coaching, mentoring. Okay, the greatest leaders in all of world history were mentored. The greatest athletes in world history had personal mentoring. Okay, that was not included in their team sport. They had personal mentoring from someone who thought huge. Okay, that's what all of you guys need, to be honest. You need a coach. Okay, watching my channel helps for a while. But at some point in time, you need to lock in to the Men of High Value community and be a part of it, a true part of it. Be part of the Men of High Value chat, okay, on Instagram. How do I find the chat? You can't be participating in the chat unless you're part of the community. How do you become part of the community? By being coached by a man of high value. That's the only way you'll be part of the community. And yeah, that costs money. So get your money right, because this community is going to become amazing. But what he's saying here, you need coaching and mentoring to get to the next level in your life and to become one of the greats. And I know all of you guys want to become one of the greats, and you can. That's the decision. It's up to you. You decide how badly do you want to become great. And that selfish motive is fantastic. I want all of you guys to become greats, because if you want to become great, and you apply the principles taught on this channel, you will become great, because it's all about doing good, and doing good on a massive scale. If you do that, you'll have everything you want.
But unfortunately, a lot of young men don't have that. A lot of men don't have Aristotle the way you do it, and the father that I did. And a lot of them are lost, and a lot of them are confused, which is why I'm always recommending your book. So for a lot of these young men who don't have a father like yours, who don't have that guidance and direction, who are even confused about step number one, what is some advice that you would give to those guys who are just trying to take that first initial step?
So
I'm kind of saddened, but I know that Patrick is not going to mention SR. He might mention 80-hour work week, but he's not going to mention SR, which is really sad, because that's really what men need more than anything.
My dad what he passed down to me. Think about it. I got a friend of mine the other day who called me. He says, look, Pat, I watch your videos. He says, what you're passing down to your kids is books and reading and knowledge. He says, that wasn't me. What I'm passing down to my kids is soccer. I was a great soccer player. So he coaches his kids in soccer in ways I could never do, ever do. His 8, 9-year-old kid in soccer, videos were sent to me. Let me tell you, he'll do laps around my kids. Not because maybe of the kid. Maybe it's because of the father is a great teacher. I'm not a great teacher when it comes down to soccer or baseball or basketball. But I know how to pass this down to you, right? Okay. My dad was never the entrepreneur. My dad was never the businessman. My dad wasn't a millionaire. My dad, we've always lived in an apartment complex. We never had a house. My dad he was a cashier at a 99-cent store. He wasn't like, if you went to Inglewood, Great Western Forum's there, a mile away, my dad was at a 99-cent store, right across from a KFC and right next to a 2020 store. And when my parents got a divorce, when we left Iran, I was 10 years old. 10 or 12, I didn't see my dad because we lived in a refugee camp. My dad was he went from Iran to Chicago down to LA. Then when we came to LA at 12, he sent somebody to our house when we were living in Doran in Glendale, right next to Virgil's. The lady said, Patrick's father would like to see him and his sister. And mom says, do you guys want to see him? I'm like, yeah, I want to see him. So I went and saw my dad, and I saw my dad once a month for the next 6 years. Then I joined the army for 3 years. Then I came back. But what did my dad pass down to me? Here's what my dad's the Aristotle of my life. Okay. My dad passed down to me hard work like you wouldn't believe.
Hard work. Oh, beautiful. Music to my ears. Hard work. 80-hour work week. Patrick's talking about 100-hour work week. I love this. This is life. This is it. Okay? I love that. Anything more than anything else, to be honest, because work is what works. And that's why work is truth. Okay? You want to apply the truth? Work. The secret is work. Always. Okay? You're depressed? Work. Okay? You're struggling with SR? Work. All right? You have girlfriend problems? Work. Anything that you will tell me, work is always the answer. Okay? Why? Because that's how the universe is designed. You serve other people, all of your problems will be solved. That's how you solve your problems. The non-important problems just vanish and disappear. But the important problems, you eventually solve them because you're productive, okay? You can't steer a parked car, and if you're not working, you're parked. You gotta work. That's the biggest message that me and Patrick together can give to you guys. Work.
That passed down to me, if you say you're gonna start something, you better finish it. My dad passed down to me, never be afraid of the truth. Never. He says, don't win with your fist. Win with results and your words. Never win with your fist, because there's no point there, right? He taught me values and principles. He would sit there and say, think about this. Patrick, you're too hurry sometimes. If you put a seed right up a watermelon, how long will it take? I'm like, what is this guy talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah. If you want a baby, how long does it take? Why does God say 40 weeks? You can't just go have a baby today and have it tomorrow. Business is the same way. You have to be. So he brought the values and principles side on what it took place. Now, somebody doesn't have that. Okay. There's a 55-year-old man just started a YouTube channel last year. Yep. And in the first 90 days, he got 1 million subscribers. You know what the channel is? It's called Dad, How Do I? Exactly. By the way, he only uploaded 5 videos.
I saw it.
Okay, it wasn't like, and none of his videos got 50 million views. One of his videos got 1 million views, but a guy on Facebook posted the Facebook video of that, and that video went viral and said, let's help this dad get to 1 million subscribers. So people got behind it. Yeah. And it's called Dad, How Do I? So what does he do? He shows people how to change a leak you got in plumbing. Okay. He shows you how to paint the wall. He shows you, Dad, how do I paint? Dad, how do I fix it? Dad, how do I change the oil? Very basic video that he made. Okay. What's the point there? Here's the point. There is nobody that grew up with a perfect family. None of us do. Sometimes you look at the kid like, oh, look at that kid, man. He's so lucky. Mom and dad Christians, and they live in a $10 million home, and they got nice cars, and look at the mom and dad and all this other stuff. You have no idea that dad's got a cocaine addiction. You have no idea the mom and dad fight. You have no idea that they don't even sleep in the same bed. You don't know everyone's drama. But
boom. For those of you guys that have been on my channel for a while, you know exactly what he's talking about. Women of High Value channel, that's the one for you guys. The reason why there's no one that has a perfect family is because of the system called monogamy. That sucks. That doesn't work, okay? We figured that out a long time ago, okay? It literally doesn't work. And it is the system whereby the foundation of society has come from. That's the root. A system that doesn't work is the root where all individuals come from. Monogamy. Who would have thought? Okay? Now, does that mean that you should sleep around? Never sleep around. Never have sex with a woman outside of lifelong commitment. Okay? Lifelong. lifelong commitment. Okay? However, monogamy is not the answer. Okay, so I'm not telling you to get married because that's a horrible idea and he's going to talk about it in a second. But understand that there's a better way. And that's 3 in Love. You learn about it on the Women of High Value channel. Down in the description, you'll find my Women of High Value channel. It says 3 Girls in Love there, but it's Women of High Value. You push that button and then you push subscribe. You go back to this video. That's what you need to do right now. Why? Because you'll understand why monogamy is the problem. And that's why there's no perfect families. Okay? You don't know what's going on behind the 4 walls of their home. Okay? Probably the exact same thing that happened in your household and it wasn't pretty. Okay? So, and that's because of monogamy. Because your parents were actually trying. Did you know that? All of our parents were actually trying. It's not their fault. It was just ignorance. They didn't know better. And, you know, what happened to you was the result. That's it.
Everyone's got some kind of drama. So I think one of the things that helped me is the following. When I would look at my lack of in an area of my life, and say, oh my gosh, but man, my parents got a divorce. Oh my gosh, but I'm a 1.8 GPA. Oh my gosh, look at me, you know, I'm from Iran. Nobody wants to buy insurance from a guy that's Iranian when 9/11 just happened. I would hear all that stuff that I'm feeding myself, right? I had one rule I followed. Listen, if you can talk, if you can walk, if you can see, if you can hear, if you can taste, if you can smell, if you speak a language, if your mind works, and you can do enough of that, you can do whatever you want to do in your life. Period.
Good principle, okay, great. But dude, there's tons of people who can't see. There's some people who can't talk. There's some people who can't smell. There's some people who can't. Those can make it too. Did you know that? Okay, they can become multimillionaires as well. If they become solution-oriented. If they actually pick up other people who have the strengths that they don't have, and then they connect themselves together with them, anything is possible, okay? You gather 2 people who are serious about success and they complement each other, amazing things will happen. And I'm not talking about women, okay? Okay, now seriously, you connect 2 people that have strengths and weaknesses, and they're not the same weaknesses and same strengths, you can do anything. Which means that all of the things that he just mentioned, that specific person who has a weakness where he can't see anything, he can still become a multimillionaire. There is no handicap that can stop you from achieving your dreams and goals. Now, obviously, there are some people who have a lot of problems, okay? And they might be then the exception to the rule, but they're part of the 0.001%, okay? That's not you watching this video today. So all of you guys can make it.
I don't need an alibi. I don't need an excuse. So for some people, that is a father. For some, it's a mother. For some, it's abuse. For some, it's parents that were there, but hardcore abuse, which is sometimes worse than not having a father. Because if there's hardcore abuse, that abuse can go to a lot of different levels, right? So, you know, sitting there and wondering about what we lacked and all this other stuff, you know, almost always for the rest of your life, you will always use an alibi with that. I had a guy that told me, he said, messaging him right now, and he says, well, you know, you don't understand what's going on. For example, perfect example to give you, we have 2 events going on this week, okay? One is in Dallas, one is in Louisville. Both of them are expected to have 2,000 to 4,000 people at their events, okay? Dallas and Louisville. Now watch this. Dallas, weather has a bad storm. So Dallas is going to be in the 20s to 40s. This week, Dallas is going to be 1 degree on Monday. 1 degree. When I lived in Dallas 5 years, we never had 1 degree. The other team's going to Louisville. Louisville's conditions are also bad. So I just did a Zoom today, and guess what I said? I said, guys, this is the week to see who's going to make the least amount of excuses. Both of you are going to bad weather conditions. Both of you. But just like in sports, when they say that other team knows how to play in the cold weather, they're going to win. We're about to find out which one of you guys can win in cold weather and still make it happen, right? Okay. Which means what? Well, but you don't understand. The weather's cold, but you don't understand. Airports, but you don't understand. But you don't understand. You can say, but you don't understand for the rest of your life with mom, dad, girlfriend, money, all this other stuff. But what you don't understand is you get to choose what you do and how you handle that moving forward. So I'm not.
Absolutely. Completely agree with him on that one. No matter what excuse you have, get rid of the excuse. Get rid of it. Okay? Because there is no excuse. Because if there is an excuse, let's say they had an excuse of the weather and you don't understand and all that stuff, I agree. Okay, I hear you. But you need to be better than your competition. Everyone's going to have an excuse. And if you're the only person that uses that excuse as an opportunity because everyone else has an excuse, that's an opportunity for you. You see that one? Okay? So be fired up outside your brain, because every downfall, it has a seed of equivalent opportunity. Like Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich. It's a very, very good book.
Not a big fan of alibis. I always put the pressure back on the person to say, at the end of the day, if you can, small walk, talk, all that other stuff, you can go out there and do whatever you want to do with your life.
I love it. So right now, there's a guy. He's 27 years old.
Okay.
This is the last thing we're doing here, because I wanted to do 34 minutes, and we'll do part 2 in a couple of days.
Let's say he went to school, didn't finish.
Okay.
He right now has a part-time job making about $25,000 a year.
Okay.
And he doesn't really have much drive in life. What is the first step that you're going to tell that man to do?
80-hour work week. 80-hour work week. Go and apply for 50 jobs every single day. Do 100 if you can. 50 jobs every single day. Apply. If you have just one job, that sucks. You need 2. You need 3. Okay? 80-hour work week. Again and again and again. Just do 80-hour work week. That's the solution to all of your problems. And then watch this channel, because I'm going to tell you what your next step is once you are doing 80-hour work week.
Nothing. Why does he not have drive in his life? So let me give it to you maybe from a different perspective.
Okay. First step that you're going to tell that, and he doesn't really have much drive in life. What is the first step that you're going to tell that man to do?
Nothing. Nothing. Why does he not have drive in his life? So let me give it to you maybe from a different perspective.
Okay.
My dad kept telling me I'm lazy as a kid, because I was. I was bored half the time. Class, everything was boring to me. So eventually I go and I get a 1.8 GPA. I have a job at Haagen-Dazs, and I worked my ass off at night from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock when everybody was asleep. I'd go grab a shopping cart, and I would go into trash cans, and I would find 2-liter bottles and cans. And then I would go to Albertson, and I would recycle. So every night I was making $10 a night with my shopping cart that I had. 10 or 20, my friend and I would split it. He would get half, I would get half. And we'd collect it. What are you guys doing? Because we wanted to buy cards. I wanted a Sergei Fedorov rookie card. I wanted a David Robinson 1989 Hoops rookie card. So my motivation was what? Cards at the time, right? Okay. So later on, when I sat there and I'm like, lazy, man, this topic keeps coming up. Lazy. Why are people lazy? Everything to me is linking a word to another word.
Motivation. What do you want? Okay, he's going to tell everything about you need to find out what you really want. What are you motivated for? Blah, blah, blah. You don't need to do that. On this channel, we know what you want, okay? Everyone wants this. You want women, you want power, and you want to be worshipped. That's it, okay? Like, we know that. So if we know that, there is no excuse for I don't know what I want. I don't know what my passion is. I don't know. No, you don't need to know anything. Just get started. 80-hour work week always is the correct answer. Always.
When somebody says, man, Patrick, I'm owner of 100% of this company. We're doing $5 million a year. I want to bring another guy in, but I just don't feel like I can control. I feel like I want to control everybody. I said, can you tell me why you want to control everybody? Why? I said, what word links with control? The more you want to control somebody, the less you trust them. The less you want to control somebody, the more you trust them.
Exactly.
I said, you simply don't trust your people. So you got to figure out a way how much of that is on you, how much of that is on them. I said, okay, that does kind of make sense. You find somebody that's bitter. Why is somebody bitter? You're not part of a community, and you're not creating anything new. The moment you no longer create something of value to the world, you become bitter. Who's typically bitter?
Old man.
Old people. Why are they bitter? Because they're no longer contributing. You got to fix.
Not only not contributing anymore, but they had monogamy and they pretty much didn't accomplish anything with their lives, and they're like, was that it? Are you serious? That's why they become bitter, okay? You don't have to do that. If you watch this channel, you apply the principles, you're going to be fired up outside your brain within 6 months. Or less, okay? But go through hell, right? 80 hours, and then you'll eventually get to heaven. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I love my life.
Figure out a way to get them to contribute, to feel like I am still needed in society. The world still needs me.
The only thing that people are suffering from is a lack of being important. You just want to be important, man. That's what worship really is. That's what power really is. That's what having women in your life truly is. That's it. You just want to be very important. How do you become very important? By becoming high value. How do you become high value? By becoming scarce. How do you become scarce? By doing something important. And what is something important? It doesn't matter. Something that's important for someone else. You just need to do 80-hour work week for someone else. Serve, 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 serve. The more you make other people important, but I'm talking about other people important in a win-win situation that actually elevates you to the next level in your life. Not just, oh, my girlfriend is important, so if I make her important, then I'll be important. No, that's not gonna work, okay, ever. But if you do the work aspect, okay, success first, and you do the 80-hour work week, you are making other people important with a smile on your face. That's gonna make you important over time by doing it consistently over a long period of time. It doesn't work if you only do it for 3 months and quit and then go back to a 40-hour work week. You gotta do 80-hour work week and stick to that for preferably the rest of your life, okay? You can cut it down to 70 or 65 once you get 3 in love and kids, okay? I accept that, okay? And take a few vacations throughout the year if you want to. Maybe you take a full year one time just to experience how it is, but that's it, okay? Then you work 80 hours or 65 plus hours for the rest of your life. But right now, in the situation that you're in, 80 hours, there's no excuse.
Died at 99. John D. Rockefeller, who was born in 1835, said, I'm going to live 100 years and I'm going to make $100,000. He didn't make $100,000. In today's money, he made $340 billion. Do you know in 1835, the average life expectancy for a man was 39 and a half years old? You know how long he lived? 97 years and 11 months. Because he kept contributing, okay? So when you look at this stuff and you're like, okay, well, here's what we got.
One, the richest man in Norway is one of the oldest men in Norway. The richest man in Norway is one of the oldest men in Norway. Why? Because he loves work. I'll tell you that, okay? You love work, you're gonna live a very long time. Because purpose, a purpose-driven life is what is the fountain of youth, combined with SR, of course.
Going on. How about this 27-year-old kid making 25 grand a year, part-time job, and has no drive? He's bored out of his mind. You either need an enemy, you need a vision, you need somebody to tell you can't do something. You need to put yourself in a position where somebody slaps you around that pisses you off and you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, what did you say? Yeah. I'm going to go out there and go to war and show you that I'm going to do something big with my life.
Boom. And I'm going to end the video with that. Guys, did you hear what he just said? You just need to be crushed. 80-hour work week is going to do that for you. Once you're crushed and you begin to be like, I don't want to work for anyone else for the rest of my life. That's the kind of drive you need to have. And that's the kind of drive you're going to get if you do 80-hour work week. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are absolutely awesome as always. And make sure you watch part 2 in a couple of days. And for those of you guys, yeah, that's it. You guys are awesome. See you guys in the next one.